What's up, people? It's King Major here. Look, we are discussing the UAP phenomenon on today's episode of the King Major Show. So, like I said, we are discussing the UAP phenomenon on this episode of the King Major Show. Be sure to subscribe or like wherever you are at, and I guess we can begin with, I'm convinced that there's an extraterrestrial phenomenon interacting with us on this earth. There's no question that the UAP phenomenon is real. It's been documented from worldwide, and in fact the United States is late in the game of being transparent about it. But they are not quick to say that it's the UAPs or non-human intelligence, NHI. I'm going to show a couple of articles that are going to indicate, at least to me, that the credible sources usually determined by most people that read news. I've covered this one before, but I want to cover it again just because I'm talking about some of the better articles that are just interesting. So get this. Former Israeli space security chief says extraterrestrials exist and Trump knows about it. A galactic federation has been waiting for humans to reach a stage where we will understand what spaceships and space is, Haim Heshed said. A former Israeli space security chief has sent eyebrows shooting heavenward by saying that the Earthlings have been in contact with extraterrestrials from a galactic federation. The unidentified flying objects have asked not to publish that they are here. Humanity is not ready yet. Haim Hashid, former head of Israel's Defense Ministry Space Directorate, told Israel's Yadat Aronot newspaper. The interview in Hebrew ran out on Friday and gained traction after parts were published in English by the Jerusalem Post on Tuesday. A respected professor and a retired general, Rashid said that aliens were equally curious about humanity and were seeking to understand the fabric of the universe. Rashid said cooperation agreements had been signed between species, including an underground base in the depths of Mars, where there are American astronauts and alien representatives. Now, this is an interesting thing. In fact, I can look this up. They bring about Mars. A signature feature of Mars' atmosphere is the predominance of two noble gas isotopes, 129Xe and 40Ar, over their isotopes relative to Earth and other inventories. Both these gases are recognized as radiogenic, being due to nuclear reactions in a planetary involvement. So you got to consider, was there a war that wiped out their atmosphere? Now, if you look at the ancient Akkadian tablets, according to translations by such as Zechariah Sitchin, there was indeed a war in our past between Nibiru and Lamu. Lamu being Mars. Let's go back to this. There is an agreement between the U.S. government and the aliens. They signed a contract with us to do experiments here, he said. Rashid added that President Donald Trump was aware of the extraterrestrials' existence and had been on the verge of revealing information, but was asked not to in order to prevent mass hysteria. They have been waiting until today for humanity to develop and reach a stage where we will understand in general what space and spaceships are, Rashid said, referring to the Galactic Federation. The White House and Israeli officials did not immediately respond to the NBC News' request for comment. Sugo, a spokesperson for the Pentagon, declined to comment. A spokesperson for NASA said that one of the agency's key goals was the search for life in the universe, but that it had yet to find signs of extraterrestrial life. Although we have yet to find signs of extraterrestrial life, NASA is exploring the solar system and beyond to help us answer fundamental questions, including whether we are alone in the universe, the spokesperson said in a statement. Rashid's ideas are spelled out in more detail in The Universe Beyond the Horizon, Conversations with Professor Haim Rashid by Hagar Yanai, published in November. Rashid, who oversaw the launch of numerous Israeli satellites into space, said he was only speaking out now because attitudes were changing and people seemed more receptive. If I had come up with what I'm saying today 5 years ago, I would have been hospitalized, he told Yediot. Today, they're already talking differently. I have nothing to lose. I've received my degrees and awards, and I am respected in universities abroad. In May, Trump said space is going to be the future. both in terms of defense and offense. We're now the leaders on space. as he was presented with the official flag of newly created military branch Space Force. Its focus, along with Space Command, is on space as a military domain for the United States, preserving satellites and communications, and a focus on geopolitics and new terrain. Hashid's comments immediately spawned jokes and theories online. At least a half a dozen accounts have been created on Twitter claiming to be representatives on Earth from the Galactic Federation. Other users have asked for preferential treatment in meetings with the otherworldly groups. Nick Pope, who used to investigate UFOs for the British Ministry of Defense, described Hashid's remarks as extraordinary. Either this is some sort of practical joke or publicity stunt to help sell his book, perhaps something had been lost in translation, or someone in the know is breaking ranks, he said. Pope has said that the UFO and conspiracy theory community was excited, but that question remains, including whether or not Hashid was speaking from direct personal knowledge and experience or whether he was repeating something he was told. There are still some missing pieces of the puzzle, he said. But people don't understand, like, this is a space security chief admitting this. Of Israel, no less. Now, Israel's not just, as you know, with all the controversy, it's not a technologically inferior nation. It's got a lot. And you're telling me that, what is there not to believe from this? I mean, you could say it's propaganda, but I mean, this is a space security chief. This would be somebody that was qualified for this type of operation. Says extraterrestrials exist and Trump knows about it. It's a galactic federation. And of course, when you go back to the mothership thing, these people would be the ones to know.